Hey guys, thanks for joining me this week on For All Things Lexington. It's the only show dedicated to Lexington, South Carolina. Here, you'll hear me talk to people, groups, bands, and organizations about where to go, what to do, and who's who in and all around our beautiful Lake Murray. I'm your host, Angela Barrett, and this is For All Things Lexington.
The For All Things Lexington podcast has been brought to you in part by...
I enjoy listening to the Talking South Carolina podcast in my car, at work, or all cozy and warm at home on a cool South Carolina day. You should too. Check out the podcast and Angela Barrett at talkingsouthcarolina.com.
Hey Garrett, thanks for being with me today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How was your snow day?
Cold, very cold. Our kids loved it, enjoyed it. I'll tell you though, one of the downsides to having that weather is with the county not being able to be open yesterday. My schedule was all kinds of out of whack now. So
I know the feeling.
but it was good. It's always, it's fun to get to see snow down here. It's not something we get very often. So.
I know. I tell everybody, as being in real estate in my real life, I tell all the people that are moving here, I'm like, we never have snow. And if we do, it's not very much, but stay home because our snow is different than your snow. It turns into what we call black ice, and it is nothing to play with.
That's right.
Sometimes they don't believe me, but they have, they're beginning to listen. I sent out something from the Post and Courier yesterday. One of the writers who is from up north thought he could get to work and ended up sliding through, luckily didn't have a wreck, but sliding through a stoplight. So see, I told y'all.
Exactly. It can get dangerous.
It can. So I hear you have some pretty big news for us, a big company coming to Lexington, bringing some jobs and other good stuff.
Absolutely. So just last week, we announced the Cardiff Products Corporation coming to Lexington County. They're an aseptic beverage company based out of Canada, and we're thrilled and excited to announce that one. We've been working with them for quite some time now, and it gets difficult to work these sometimes because you get so excited and you want to spread the word and get all excited about it, but you got to do it when the timing's right and everything is finalized. But we're excited for their investment and their jobs here. These jobs are very well paid jobs, and so when we work these projects, we take all things into consideration, and we want to make sure we're recruiting industries that are going to help progress the county, move the county forward, and create new opportunity for residents here in Lexington County.
Now, when do you think that they'll finally be here?
Yeah, so each project's different. This one is really fun to work with because man, are they wanting to move fast.
Good.
And so, in fact, I was out at the industrial park just last week, or I say last week because of the weird week we've had, but it was actually 2 days ago. Standing in the snow at a pre-construction meeting, talking about earthwork and everything else with their engineers and their contractors and everything just a couple days ago, and they're wanting to get started as soon as possible. And so,
good.
We hope to see some stuff happening in the next couple weeks on construction out there. And, right now it's hard to narrow down a deadline or a hard date on when exactly they'll be operational because, weather and all that kind of stuff can delay construction and everything else. But, early next year, we hope that we hope to see that plant operational, which is a very eager timeline, but, we think we're going to be able to make it happen, and we can't wait for them to be open and operational and have jobs on that site.
Well, that's great. Now there's been some little rumors about maybe Michelin.
Yeah, we did a first reading for Michelin back in December. That is a project we are working. When we're this early, there's a lot of stuff has to remain confidential until we can work the deals out and everything else. But it's a competitive project, so we're real early on in it, and we're competing with other sites. And so we very much hope to have this investment happen here in Lexington County. Michelin's been a great partner in Lexington County and has created quite a few jobs and made significant investments in Lexington County. And we hope to continue that growth here with Michelin and see them continue to be successful here. But so we are working with Michelin, but we're not quite to the point to be announcing anything or
Sure.
it still is competitive, so we're still working with them on that.
Which brings me to my next question. Let's back up and talk about what the process is for these companies that are choosing sites and what the criteria that Lexington, that's kind of a two-parter, would have to make sure they could bring to the table for them to pick that site. So I guess that's a two-part question. Sorry.
Yeah, and there's two sides to it because, just as projects look for new sites to go to, we have our own criteria when we work these projects as well. Like I mentioned, we look at investment. We look at how this company and the jobs and investment they're creating are going to move the county in a positive direction. And so each project is different. How those leads and projects come in is different. Sometimes they come from our South Carolina Department of Commerce. Sometimes they come from our regional organization, our Central South Carolina Alliance, who are great partners with us. Sometimes they call us directly, and we work with them. And sometimes it's us going to them. We partner with Central on marketing trips. I was in Detroit not long ago, meeting with companies in the auto belt, looking at how we can get their expansions and growth to come down into South Carolina and into Lexington County. The timeline of the projects, sometimes they can be months, sometimes they can be years. And so it varies from project to project. It's really driven by the needs of the company. Sometimes the company is, they're past due for an expansion and it's time. They need to break ground. They need to move fast. Sometimes they're kind of in their preliminary stages, doing their homework and just trying to get feel for certain areas, and those can take a little bit longer. But it varies from each one. So a lot of times they put out what's called an RFI, a request for information, and we submit sites that we feel best fit their criteria, and it's everything. The best way I can break it down is honestly, it's similar to real estate when you're looking to buy a house. So if you're working with a client that, is looking to move to Lexington County and they say they want to be in this neighborhood or in this area of the county, they want a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and it needs to be 1,500 square feet, right? It's very similar concept. They need an industrial site. It has to be 30 acres. It needs to have all the infrastructure, water, sewer, roadway, all that kind of stuff all in place. So we look through all of our sites that are available, both publicly owned sites that we own and private sites that are marketed for industrial property. And we put our best foot forward on recruiting that. And just as in real estate, the companies aren't going to come visit. If you're looking for a 3-bedroom house, you're probably not going to go take a tour of a 2-bedroom house because that's not what you're looking for. And so, we not every site's always the best fit. But we always try to make sure that we put our best foot forward. And then on the flip side of that, from our perspective, again, we take a look at those wages and jobs and investment and what that looks like and what the company does and what their company culture is like and what kind of beyond just the hourly wage, what are the benefits they're providing, PTO, retirement, healthcare, things like that are going to truly benefit residents that are both currently here and coming here. South Carolina is one of the fastest growing states in the country, and we're one of the fastest growing areas of that state or of South Carolina. So, we need to create better opportunities for the current residents and residents that are coming in to continue growing as a county.
So the things that companies actually look at, well, obviously the site that you can provide, but what are some of the other things that maybe they look at? What's going to make Lexington stand out for some of these? We're just a great town.
We have a phenomenal county. And there's a lot of criteria they work at. We're a business friendly state, and we're a business friendly county. We try to uh, get out of the way when it comes to getting things done for business and get them to where they need to be. Um, they look at workforce information, workforce data. I'm proud to say that we're at an 82% labor force participation rate. That's well above the state's average. Um, that number reflects the amount of working age people that are wanting to work and are working. And so that's a great reflection that we have hardworking people here in Lexington County that value work and value um, a job and those kinds of things. And so companies love to see that. We have an excellent quality of life here, being on Lake Murray, the rivers, all the amenities that we have here, being a part of the Columbia metro area, the zoo, where we have great universities and technical college. We have top ranked school districts to provide training programs and students with a good education that are coming out ready to work. Our connectivity to the rest of the Southeast in the country, we have 3 major interstates that go through Lexington County, 26, 77, and I-20. We have a good rail network. We're close to the port. We have the Columbia Airport. They're great partners of ours. I love bragging about our airport. And if anybody that's listening hasn't had a chance to go through the Columbia Airport, I highly suggest it. I always love going through Columbia rather than going straight to Charlotte or Atlanta. You don't have to deal with as much TSA and all that kind of stuff. So we love our airport, which also happens to be the largest air cargo operation in South Carolina, with FedEx and UPS being there. So if a company is using air transportation to get their raw material or ship their product out, then that's a great asset to have. So there's a lot of different things, and we could really get into the weeds on a lot more on that. But there's a lot of different criteria they look at, and those are just some of the things that make Lexington County so great to have a manufacturing location in.
Yeah, I mean, again, back to it's the same as real estate, because I tell everybody, I said, if you need to be at the airport, it's right here. If you need to be on the interstate, we're right here. I mean,
That's right.
you can be in the mountains in 2 hours, the ocean in 2 hours. You can't beat it. It really is great. So you, in listening to you, you've kind of told us, but for those of us who don't know exactly what an economic development director does,
Mhm.
and give us a day-to-day or in the life of your job.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best things about this job is no 2 days are the same. And so there's days where, we're out with companies all day, meeting with companies. There's days where we're in the office and we're sending emails and reaching out to companies and all that. The new projects are fun and great to work, but that's only half of our role. The other half is supporting our existing companies. Just because we announced doesn't mean we're done and we pass the buck at that point. That's the fun part, but the real work begins after that. And so working with our existing industries on a day-to-day basis, making sure that they have the workforce and resources they need. If there's any kind of issues, whether it's a local issue, a state issue, or even a federal issue, and connecting them with the resources that they need. Economic development has a very broad term. So in Lexington County, we have some of the towns have economic directors as well. Jack Stewart over the town does a great job. BJ Unthink over in West Columbia, they do great jobs in their terms of economic development. They focus more on the retail and the commercial, getting hotels, restaurants, things like that.
Trader Joe's.
On the county level, our department focuses on the manufacturing and the industrial. And the reason we do that is that helps increase the tax base. And that's what helps keep your resident taxes lower, and it helps provide the funding for our schools and our infrastructure and help us grow and be successful as a county. So no 2 days are the same, but it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's constantly moving. We meet a lot of people. We get to talk with a lot of companies and learn a lot about how things are made, and it's an exciting job.
So I know we've talked about the beverage company that's coming. I would mutilate the name. Tell me again.
Cardiff Products Corporation.
Okay. What else is already in the works that I guess we may or may not know about, depending on how Lexington savvy someone is? Is there anything that you've got that's getting ready to open or should be in this year anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. A while back, Lexington County announced Chick-fil-A Supply. They're over in our Saxagatha Industrial Park. They have a beautiful building. If you get a chance to ride by it and see it, it's quite incredible what they've built out there. And they have already begun hiring and are continuing to hire. And they will be operational. Their grand opening is in February. So
Nice.
they'll be that location is going to supply their QSRs or their quick serve restaurants all over the Southeast. And so we're excited about that. If you're driving through that same industrial park, you'll see the steel is up for Southern Glazer Wine and Spirits. Their distribution location is well underway, and so they still got to finish up construction out there, but that is coming online and will be built out soon. And then of course we have other infrastructure projects that are going on. No, they're not quite as fun to talk about, but it's important for what we do. Roadway expansions, getting sites graded, and things like that to increase sewer capacity, water capacity, stuff like that. And so more, and there's definitely more in the pipeline. Unfortunately, a lot of these are codenamed. I can't talk about it quite yet, but there's more in the pipeline, and I think I'm hoping that we're going to have a very successful year in 2025. So.
Yeah. And I understand the numbers for 2024 were pretty darn good, as far as, I guess, jobs that were brought into Lexington County and things of that nature.
Yeah, we're constantly growing as a county, and our industries are always growing positive across all sectors. Manufacturing is our third largest industry in Lexington County. It's only being second to healthcare and government work. Being right outside of the state's capital, of course, we have a lot of state offices nearby that a lot of people are working at in the county and the school districts and things like that. So, and if you loop into our distribution companies included into that, because we work those as projects too, it becomes the number one industry. And so we're constantly growing, and we're projected to continue to grow, and we're excited to keep working those. And oftentimes it gets a little put in the background, but we like to celebrate it here in our office all the time. Companies are constantly growing and expanding. Beverage South is a great one. They've recently added on some warehouse space to their facility. I think it's about 48,000 square feet. And
who is that again?
Beverage South, who's another distribution company located over by the airport.
Right.
Recently, Flex over by the airport as well. They've also grown and expanded with another 400 jobs and about $14 million in investment over there with another contract they secured. So constantly growing and expanding, and so it's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So what's your favorite, or what do you enjoy most about the whole economic development position you have in the process, I guess?
Honestly, this is going to sound cliche or whatever as a public worker and all that, but my favorite part, and it gives me chills just thinking about it, is the impact that we're able to have on people's lives. I mean, it truly is. We're not first responders. We're not directly impacting a life in that sense. But the opportunity to help create a job that is going to help put food on the table, or put a kid through college, or give somebody a better opportunity than they're currently in. There's just not a better feeling than that. And so that's really what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited to do this, is the impact that we can have on people's lives, and the positive impact to do those things. And so I hope one day that, when my son's 2 now, my daughter's 7 months old, I hope one day when I'm old and gray, we'll be driving through Lexington County and a factory that's there now that employs hopefully hundreds of people and continues to grow and say that, we had a hand in that. And one thing I want to make clear, and I make sure to tell everybody this, a company did not choose to locate in Lexington County because of me. That I don't take that credit for that. Lexington County is the reason they came here. Like I mentioned, that labor force participation rate, the people that choose to work here, the excellent technical college we have here, Midlands Technical College, the great schools we have here, the people, the quality of life. Those are the reasons companies choose to get here. I just get to be the person that packages that all up and markets that for the county. And so, it's a great job. The county's great to work for. It's a great community to be in and do business in. And, the impact that we get to have on people's lives is just, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. I was talking with somebody else and I was saying, yeah, I get to have him, Garrett, on as a guest. And they're like, oh, well, y'all both should get cheerleading outfits that say Lexington because I don't know two bigger cheerleaders than you two. I said, well, good. We'll get along great.
That's right.
And I laughed at you and said, this is the reason I get up in the morning. I was like, you sure it's not that newborn at the house?
Well, oftentimes it is. Yeah, it's definitely waking up early mornings with the kids. But what gets me motivated and excited to come to work?
Right. To finish the day. Sure. Well, it has been great having you on today, and I thank you so much. And we're going to have to do this on a pretty regular basis, just so that we can, fill people in on kind of what's going on. So we'll get back together soon and get some updates. But thank you again for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love talking about economic development. I could do it all day. So, I love this job. I love this career, and I love Lexington County. So. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, we'll get back together for sure. Thanks again. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or know someone you'd like to see on the show, contact me at forallthingslexington.com. That's the number 4, allthingslexington.com.
And by Angela Barrett at HomeMattersSC.com. Building on what matters to you.